Hello friends, it's Kristie Marcotte. Today I'm sharing some cards I made using Not Too Shabby's June 2022 Paper Pad Club. The two paper pads for June are Cue the Sparklers and Patriotic Inks. I love using patriotic colors on my cards, and I really like the unique design of both of the paper collections. The Not Too Shabby Paper Pad Club is a subscription where you will receive 2 new paper pads every month, and they release on the first of the month. You can also purchase the paper pads individually if there are still some available. By subscribing, it guarantees that you'll receive those papers, and you'll also save 18%. You will receive your new paper pads every 30 days on the original day of purchase. So for example, if you purchase on the 7th, your next shipment will be the 7th of the following month. If you are interested in subscribing or simply purchasing the 2 paper collections, I do have links provided in the description box below. Both of the paper pads are 6x6 in size. There are 24 double-sided sheets, 4 of each design. I still needed more Independence Day cards for the residents at a local retirement home, so the timing was perfect for the June club. Let's go ahead and get started with card design number 1. I'm using a card sketch for inspiration. This is from MFT. It's number 180. If you are interested in any of the card sketches I show in this video, I do share all of that information on my coordinating blog post. That link is provided in the description box below, or you can simply head over to KristieMarcotte.com. For the first card, I'm using this beautiful golden alcohol ink pattern paper for the background. For the large banner on the left, I use some of the red, white, and blue stripe paper, although it's not really white, it has more of a golden color. And some of those gold stripes have a look of glitter, but there's no glitter on this paper. It's all nice and smooth. I'll also add this pattern with all the different stars, and I'm layering everything on some dark blue cardstock. I'll put my card front onto a card base, and all of my cards in this video are American Standard A2 size, 4¼ inches by 5½ inches. If you are interested in following along with the measurements I provide on the card sketches, sometimes I do modify those slightly while I'm making my cards. For example, my background pattern paper is 4 inches by 5¼ inches, and those cardstock layers I add an additional 1/8 of an inch to the measurements provided on the card sketch. For the sentiment on my cards, I'll be using Jaded Blossom's God Bless America stamp and coordinating die set. I stamped out Happy Independence Day, and the ink color is from Catherine Pooler. This is the Juniper Mist color, and it matches the dark blue beautifully in this collection. To finish off the card, I'm using the clear or silver glossy dots from Pink and Main. I have quite a few partially used embellishment sheets, and I'm really trying to use up some of them. There is my finished card, and I did end up making a total of 4 using this sketch. For the other 2 cards, I used different pattern paper, and I also used craft cardstock for the background instead of the alcohol ink pattern paper. Now moving on to card design number 2. The card sketch is from MFT. This is number 247. I really like the look of the alcohol ink pattern paper, so I decided to use this blue color for the background. I don't want to cover up most of that design, but I am adding a dark blue rectangle frame. I put some double-sided tape on the back to adhere it to my card. Put my card front onto a card base, and I will be leaving 1/8 of an inch of that white card base showing. I've already stamped out the sentiment Land of the Free, and this is another Catherine Pooler ink. It's the Rouge color. I'll layer the sentiment on that same dark blue cardstock. And before adhering the sentiment to the card, I did put a scrap piece of cardstock on the back side. That way it's at the same level as that blue frame. I'll adhere it to the card using some liquid adhesive. So I am changing this sketch up just a bit. My frame is smaller than what's indicated on the sketch, and I'm also putting my banner on the left side instead of the right side. And I just cut that banner myself, but you could use a die if you're not very good at cutting those fishtails. I cut out a few stars from one of the red alcohol ink pattern papers, and I'll adhere those to my card using some liquid adhesive. Even though I'm using the paper collections for Independence Day cards, you could use them for pretty much any card theme. So there is my finished card, and again I did make 4 using this design. For the other 2 cards, I used some of the red alcohol ink pattern paper for the background and craft cardstock for that rectangle frame. For card design number 3, I'm using a card sketch from Freshly Made Sketches. This is number 537. This is a fairly new sketch to me, but it's so much fun. It has that really fun element as the main feature of the card. For the background, I have some more red alcohol ink pattern paper, and I decided to add a couple of gold Love from Lizi peel-offs to the very bottom of the card. This is the gold matte finish, I believe, in the pinstripe style. I put the widest width and also the medium width at the very bottom. I did cut those ends just a little bit wider than my card panel and just wrap them around the back. Then I'll layer that piece on some dark blue cardstock and put my card front onto a card base, leaving that 1/8 of an inch of the white card base showing. Now to cut out this fun shape. The first time I used this sketch, I did all of the measuring on the back side, marked it with little pen dots, but even with all of the measuring, it still didn't look right. So I decided this time to just wing it. I did do 1 second adjustment on one side, but I think it worked out just fine. I layered that piece on the same dark blue cardstock, and since it is a nice straight edge at the bottom, it's very easy to cut out that 1/8 of an inch matted layer using a pair of scissors. For a little extra detail on the card, I'm adding a scallop border die cut to the very top of that star pattern paper. I used some double-sided tape to adhere it to the card. For the narrow banner that goes behind the circle element, I'm using some gold pearlescent cardstock. Just cut a fishtail on both sides, and I already have a piece of double-sided tape on the back so I could adhere it to my card. I've already stamped and cut out the sentiment Happy 4th of July, and this is from Jaded Blossom. I used the outline die and cut out a second piece from that same gold pearlescent cardstock and just offset them slightly so it has this really pretty gold drop shadow. I will be popping it up using some foam dimension. Just remove the release paper and adhere the sentiment to the card in place of that circle element. For a final finishing touch, I'm adding some tiny gold glitter star peel-offs to the banner, and these are from Love from Lizi. There are 3 different sizes on the sheet, and this is the smallest size. They are super tiny, so I'm using my reverse tweezers to help pick those up. So there is my finished card, and this time I made a total of 3 using this design. This is such a fun card sketch. I'll definitely be using it again. Now moving on to card design number 4. Another sketch that I just recently started using. This is from Sugar Pea Designs. It's Sugar Sketch number 51. I selected 2 different pattern papers. I have the star paper for the larger piece, and then this beautiful floral design for the top. And the pattern paper with the flowers has several different rows on the sheet. So I just trimmed down one of those rows to fit on the top of the sketch. And I did cut that a little bit wider than what's indicated on the sketch. Instead of the 1-inch strip, I believe this is 1 1/4 inch strip. I didn't want to trim down too much of that beautiful floral design. I rounded the left corners, layered the pattern paper on some red cardstock. Now I'm adding a Love from Lizi peel off between those 2 patterns. This is the white color in the pinstripe style. I'll add my pattern paper piece on some craft cardstock, then layer this panel on some dark blue cardstock. I'll add my card front onto a card base, leaving that 1/8 of an inch of the white card base showing. Now I will be modifying this sketch again. I won't be adding that circle element. For the sentiment, this is from Jaded Blossom. It's Celebrate the Red, White, and Blue. So it is a little bit wider than that banner that's listed on the card sketch, but I thought it would still work out perfectly. I cut the left side at an angle and then cut a second piece from red cardstock and layered those two pieces together, just offsetting them slightly. Next, I'll be cutting this fun banner shape, and I don't have any dies for this shape, so I just cut it by hand. First, I cut the traditional fishtail, then I'll cut the right side at an angle, flip over that piece, and do the same thing on the left side. I'm not very good at cutting the left side, so that's why I flip over my pieces so I can continue to cut that right side. To finish off the card, I'll add a few glossy dots in the upper left-hand corner and one to the right of the sentiment. So there is my finished card, and this time I made a total of 4 using this design. For card design number 5, the card sketch is from Sketch Saturday. This is number 694. I selected 2 different pattern papers, repeating some that I've used before. So I have the star paper for that top piece and the stripe paper for the bottom. I'm layering these on some dark blue cardstock. Then I'll add a gold Love from Lizi peel off between those 2 pattern papers. I'll use my craft knife to trim the right side of the peel off so it goes right to the edge of that pattern paper. Then I'll add some ATG tape on the back and adhere my card front onto a card base, leaving that 1/8 of an inch of the white card base showing. I cut out a stitch circle die cut from some light cream cardstock, and I'll glue that to the card using some liquid adhesive. For the 2 banners in the upper right hand corner, I'm using red cardstock for that larger banner and some of the gold pearlescent cardstock for the smaller banner. Cut a fishtail on both of those and adhere them to the card using liquid adhesive. I've been asked, how do I cut those fishtails so perfectly? Well, they're not really perfect, and I think having them not perfect really gives it a little more character. I've also cut thousands of them, so I've had lots and lots of practice. For the image on the card, I'm using one of the cut-aparts that's included in the collection. I simply fussy cut this out, leaving just a very narrow white border. I did pop it up using some foam dimension. The sentiment is from Jaded Blossom, and I used the coordinating die to cut that out. Before adhering it to the card, I did put a scrap piece of cardstock on the very right side, then glued it down using liquid adhesive. Then final finishing touch, adding some more of those glossy dots. So there is my finished card, and this time I made a total of 6. For the other 3 cards, I used the star cut apart image and also some different pattern papers. This is another favorite sketch. It's perfect for featuring 2 different pattern papers on your card. Now here's another look at the 21 cards I made using Not Too Shabby's June 2022 Paper Pad Club. I love the patriotic theme this month, perfect for making Independence Day cards, although you could use the papers for other card themes as well. I still have quite a bit left over. Not sure if I'll hang on to it for Veterans Day cards, or maybe I'll just make some birthday and thank you cards in patriotic colors. If you are interested in subscribing, I do have links provided in the description box below. The paper pads are part of a monthly subscription. You'll receive 2 pads every month, and the release is on the 1st of each month. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a wonderful day.